Welcome back to Women of Worth, the podcast that's all about empowering you to live authentically and unapologetically. I'm your host. Today, we're diving into a topic that resonates deeply with so many of us: shame. Have you ever felt like you're not enough? Maybe it's the pressure to meet societal expectations, the weight of past mistakes, or the fear of being judged. Shame has a way of creeping into our lives, dimming our light, and holding us back from embracing our true selves. But here's the good news. Shame doesn't have to control your story. In today's episode, we'll explore why shame impacts women so profoundly, where it stems from, and how we can break free from its grip. We'll uncover scientific insights, spiritual wisdom, and practical strategies to help you release shame, rediscover your inner strength, and step into your authentic power. So, grab a cup of tea, find a cozy spot, and get ready to feel inspired. And before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. What's one step you've taken to embrace your true self? Share your story in the comments. All right, let's begin this transformative journey together.
Let's dive into shame. That feeling, of not being enough, like there's something wrong with you. It can feel so heavy, especially for us as women.
It really can.
Today, we're going to figure out why shame has this hold on us, and most importantly, how to break free.
It's a good goal.
We've got a lot to work with for this deep dive. An episode of a podcast all about shame's impact, plus real stories from women dealing with shame, and even some scientific and spiritual perspectives.
Sounds like we got all the angles covered.
Yeah, it's a really great mix. One thing that struck me from all of this material is how much harder shame seems to hit women.
That's something I hear a lot too.
It's like we can't escape all these messages about who we should be and how we should live.
It's the pressure from society, right? Unrealistic beauty standards, those conflicting expectations about jobs versus family.
Exactly. And judgment if you don't fit into those traditional roles. It's honestly exhausting.
It really is.
But it also goes deeper than just societal pressure. One of the sources explained that shame actually triggers the amygdala. It's like your brain's alarm system. So when we feel shame, it's like this alarm going off constantly, even when there's no real danger.
Right. And that chronic stress response, that's what really wears you down.
That's what one of the sources was saying. It's like it impacts both our mental and physical well-being, increased cortisol levels.
Which are tied to all sorts of things. We're talking anxiety, depression, even a weakened immune system.
It's crazy how one emotion can have such a huge ripple effect.
It is. There are even spiritual traditions that see shame as this blockage of the solar plexus chakra.
Okay, now I need you to break that down for me.
It's the energy center linked to, self-worth and confidence. When it's blocked, your inner light is dimmed.
Like you can't see your own value.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. Shame is this multi-layered experience, and in the stories we have, you see how this plays out in real life. Like Emma. She's super into fitness, eats healthy, but still feels shame because she doesn't look like, the magazine models.
It's so common, that struggle with body image.
And then there's Priya. She's killing it in her career, but feels pressure to have kids even though she's not ready.
Like society saying there's only one way to be a woman.
It's like no matter what you do, there's this feeling that you're not good enough.
You hit the nail on the head. And speaking of good enough, I think it's important to highlight the difference between guilt and shame, which our sources really emphasize.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Because I think a lot of people get those two mixed up.
We do. Guilt is about an action, like I feel bad because I did something wrong. Shame is about your identity, like I feel bad because I am wrong.
So guilt is I made a mistake, and shame is I am a mistake.
Precisely.
And that's where it gets really damaging, right?
Exactly. Shame attacks who you are at your core, makes you feel unworthy of love and belonging.
It's so insidious.
It is. Our sources listed some key characteristics of shame. One is this internalization of feeling flawed, then the fear of judgment, and then this tendency towards isolation.
Because you feel unworthy of connection.
Yeah. And the impact of shame can be so different at different points in our lives. For young women, it might be that pressure to be the best, like Megan, the college student trying to outdo everyone.
Always striving, always achieving.
Exactly. Then for mothers, like Sarah, it could be the mom guilt, that feeling of never doing enough for work or family.
Oh, the mom guilt is real.
It is. Then you have women in professional settings, like Laura, a lawyer who feels ashamed for not speaking up, even when she knows her ideas are great.
That fear of judgment again.
And then you have women who are survivors of trauma, like Rachel, who is bullied, carrying that shame with her, making it hard to trust people.
It's like shame has a way of creeping into every corner of our lives.
It does. And it comes from so many places.
Yeah, before we move on to the solutions, the how to break free part, I want to understand where this shame is actually coming from.
Okay, good idea. Because when you understand where it starts, that's where you can actually start to heal. Our sources pointed to 4 main culprits: family dynamics, cultural norms, past traumas, and even sometimes religious misinterpretations.
So it's like a combination of our personal experiences and the messages we get from the world around us.
Absolutely. Take Clara, for example. She grew up with these super demanding parents, always expecting perfection.
So she learned to connect her worth with achieving these unrealistic standards.
Exactly. And then we have Priya again, feeling the pressure to get married even though she's not ready.
Just because of what society expects.
Exactly. And it's not just expectations. Sometimes it's about beliefs. Like Laura, the lawyer, who felt ashamed after her divorce because of her religious upbringing.
It's like we're constantly battling these invisible forces that tell us who we should be. But the good news is we don't have to stay trapped.
That's right.
That's what we'll get into next. The tools and strategies for actually releasing shame and embracing who we truly are.
I'm excited to dig into those.
Me too.
There's so much we can do to take back our power.
All right, so we've explored how heavy shame can be and how it shows up in different parts of our lives, especially for women.
Yeah, it can feel really heavy.
But now I want to talk about solutions. What can we actually do about this? How do we release shame and embrace our true selves?
That's the good stuff.
Right. And our sources had a lot to say about it, which I'm excited to get into.
There are so many practical strategies, but one thing that really resonated with me is that it's a journey.
Okay, so no quick fix.
Nope. It's about taking consistent steps towards self-compassion and healing.
So it's like building a muscle. We have to keep practicing.
Yes. And one of the first steps is, actually acknowledging where your shame is coming from.
Okay, so how do we do that?
The podcast we listened to talked about journaling.
Journaling.
It's a powerful tool for exploring those deeper levels of shame, getting to the root of it.
I can see how that would be helpful.
Remember Clara?
Yeah, the one with the demanding parents.
Right. She found journaling super helpful. She'd write about her feelings of shame and then try to trace them back. Where did this start?
Connecting the dots between now and the messages we received growing up.
Exactly. And there's a scientific side to this too. When you do that, you're activating the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps regulate emotions.
Whoa. So we're calming down that fear response that shame triggers.
Exactly.
So it's not just about feeling better. It's literally changing our brains.
Love that. There are even some visualizations that can help.
Ooh, visualizations. I love a good visualization.
So imagine your shame as a heavy weight, and you're just lifting it off your shoulders.
Oh, I like that. I can almost feel it.
Right.
Okay, so we've acknowledged the shame. We've visualized lifting it off. Then what?
Then we practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a close friend.
That is easier said than done.
It is. So many of us are harder on ourselves than anyone else, for sure. But the sources emphasize that self-compassion is key to healing shame.
That makes sense.
And there's research to back it up. Studies have shown that practicing self-compassion can actually rewire your brain to be more resilient and accepting.
So we're training our brains to be kinder to ourselves.
Yes. And one way to do that is with affirmations. Remember Priya?
The one who felt pressure.
She used affirmations like, I am worthy of love and light, to combat those negative shame-based thoughts.
I love that affirmation. So simple, but it feels so powerful.
Right. And it connects to the spiritual idea that shame disconnects us from our true selves. So with self-compassion, we're reconnecting to that inner strength and worthiness.
Okay, I'm feeling more empowered already. So we've acknowledged the shame, we're being kind to ourselves. Now what?
Now we challenge the negative beliefs.
Okay, those thoughts that are fueling the shame.
Right. Shame loves to tell us we're not good enough, not worthy, not lovable.
It's like a bully in our own minds.
Totally. So we have to fight back. One way is through reframing. It's consciously shifting from negative to positive thoughts. So instead of I'm not good enough, it's I'm learning and growing.
So focus on the progress, not the perceived failures.
Yes. And we have a great example of this.
Do we?
Yeah, remember Megan, the college student who felt all that pressure?
Yes, I remember her.
She replaced her self-criticism with affirmations, focused on what she accomplished, and even journaled about her wins.
It's inspiring to see these shifts in thinking actually make a difference. But let's be real, sometimes it's hard to do this alone.
That's so true. And that's where seeking emotional healing and support comes in.
So it's actually a strength to ask for help.
Absolutely. Our sources highlight how helpful professional guidance can be to unpack those ingrained shame patterns.
Okay, good to know. What kind of help are we talking about?
Well, one therapy that comes up a lot is CBT.
CBT, that's cognitive behavioral therapy, right?
Yes. It's a really practical way to work with a therapist to identify and then challenge those negative thought patterns.
So Sarah, who's dealing with mom guilt, she found CBT really helpful.
She did. She used it in journaling to process her emotions and find healthier ways to cope.
It's like having those tools to navigate those tough feelings.
Exactly. And if you're looking for more holistic approaches, there's energy healing too, like Reiki.
Okay.
It can help release shame that's stored in your body.
Wow, it really is like a toolbox of strategies.
It is. And another powerful tool is community.
Community.
Yeah, remember, shame loves to isolate us. So connecting with people who understand what you're going through is huge.
That makes so much sense. It's like sharing your experiences makes them feel less heavy.
Exactly. And it can really help you realize you're not alone. Shame is a human thing, not a personal failing.
It's so easy to feel like you're the only one.
Right. But you're not.
Laura, the lawyer, she found this really helpful, joining a network of women who were open about their struggles.
It's amazing to have a space where you can be vulnerable without judgment.
Safe spaces are so important. Okay, so we've talked about acknowledging self-compassion, challenging beliefs, getting support, and community. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Lay it on me.
Self-care.
Ah, self-care, of course.
Our sources emphasize how crucial this is.
It's about taking care of yourself.
Prioritizing your well-being, especially during tough times.
We can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And the sources mention a bunch of practices like spending time in nature,
Love that.
moving your body in ways that feel good,
Yeah, I definitely need to move more.
getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods.
All the good stuff.
Right.
But sometimes it's hard to prioritize those things when you're overwhelmed.
I get it.
Life gets in the way.
And that's where self-compassion comes in again. Being kind to yourself and realizing it's okay to have off days.
That's a good reminder for sure.
It is. What about creative expression? Do you do anything creative?
I dabble. I love to paint, sometimes write.
Those are great. Creative outlets can be so therapeutic, whether it's painting, writing, dancing. Find what makes you feel alive.
Rachel, who was dealing with the shame from being bullied, she found that nature hikes were super helpful.
Nature is so healing, isn't it?
It really is.
It's amazing how something as simple as a walk in the woods can help you reconnect with your strength.
Totally. So we've talked about the practical steps, but the sources also talked about the spiritual side of healing.
They did.
And what did they say?
They emphasize the importance of reconnecting spiritually. It doesn't have to be religion. It's about tapping into something greater than yourself.
Whatever that means for you.
Exactly. And things like meditation, prayer, gratitude journaling, those can all help.
It's about remembering we're all connected to something bigger.
Yes. And Clara, she found that daily gratitude meditations really helped her.
To let go of those feelings of unworthiness.
Yeah. And reconnect to that inner peace.
I love that. Okay, I'm feeling so much lighter after this conversation. It's like we created this roadmap for breaking free from shame.
I agree. It's been so inspiring to go through these sources and see the strength of these women.
It's a good reminder that we all have that strength within us. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, any final thoughts on releasing shame?
Just remember that it's ongoing.
Okay, so not a destination.
No, it's a journey with ups and downs. You'll have moments of progress and moments of setbacks. But the key is to keep practicing self-compassion, keep challenging those negative beliefs, and keep nurturing yourself along the way.
Beautifully said.
Mm.
For those listening, those on this journey, what's one last thought to leave them with?
I would ask them to think about this. If shame could talk, what would it say to you? And more importantly, what would you, your empowered self, say back?
Wow, that really is a powerful question. If shame could talk, what would it say? And how would we answer back from this place of knowing ourselves and our worth?
I think that's the key, right? Recognizing we have a choice.
We don't have to let shame control us.
Exactly. We can define ourselves, not let shame define us.
We can rewrite the story.
Yes. Instead of that old shame-based story, it's a story of courage and resilience and ultimately self-love.
That's what it's all about, right? Embracing who we are fully.
That's the whole point of this deep dive. And we've covered a lot of ground.
We have the science, the spiritual side, the practical tools, and those incredible stories from women who are, living this journey.
It's been amazing. So, big takeaways for our listeners.
What do they really need to remember?
First and foremost, you are not alone. Shame is universal. Everybody experiences it.
It's not a weakness.
Nope. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're listening to this, it means you're already taking steps to heal.
You're on the right track.
You are. And remember, releasing shame is a journey. Be patient with yourself, celebrate those wins, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
That's such good advice.
It's true.
To all our amazing listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into shame. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with your friends.
It's been a privilege to explore this with you.
Absolutely. And remember,
You are worthy.
you are enough. And you are loved.
Now go out there and shine.